Welcome to Lauren Reed Color. In today's video, I'll be sharing some of the pages that I have colored on my journey that I have found challenging for one reason or another. There are different reasons that I might consider a page challenging. It could be the design of the page, it could be the composition, it could be the paper or the mediums that I've chosen, it could be the color palette, or even my mood on any given day. So I will be showing you these pages in the order in which I colored them. While I found these pages coloring, that does not mean that I don't love them. In fact, I think I love them more because I found them so challenging, and the feeling of accomplishment at the end of the process was even more significant due to the challenge. So let's get started. Right, so the first page that I found challenging is in Mythomorphia by Kirby Rosans. Kirby's books in general are challenging because they are very detailed, and sometimes the artwork is a bit dark, and also this particular book has hidden objects in it, and so in and of itself it's a challenging book. But the page that I want to show you is, hold on, this Bakunawa page. I will also be showing you another page from this book that I found challenging, but for different reasons. So this page I found challenging for several reasons. First of all, I wanted to make the moon glow, and I wasn't sure how far out to take the glow. Do I make it the whole top of the page? Do I limit it to a section? So I actually looked at some reference photos on Pinterest for this and decided to limit it, but nevertheless it's got this weird element here with the blending. Please excuse the barking dog. He's not getting the attention that he wants, and so that's why he's barking. Anyway, I colored this using Prismacolor, Polychromos, and Arteza watercolor pens. Those pens are no longer in my collection because I really struggled to use them, and I ended up giving them to my neighbor's daughter. Another reason that I struggled with this page was the water. I wanted a color that wouldn't clash with the background. The water is very detailed. I wasn't sure how to create the foam. There's also all of these little objects in the water, the broomstick and the jellyfish, and this little creature over here, which may or may not be a jellyfish, a feather. And so I didn't really know what to do with all of those images, and just decided to color them all the same color. And then of course there's also the dragon itself, the shading for the dragon, and what color to do it. I actually like the shading, but if I had to recolor this page, I would color the dragon red. I think it would match the other colors better. It would be more complementary because the purple and the blues sort of overshadow each other. So I think that I would color it red instead of purple. While I found this page challenging, I still love it. I love the way that it turned out. I was so proud of myself after coloring it because it was early on in my coloring journey, and I felt that I had really achieved something. So despite some of my reservations in hindsight, I think it's a gorgeous page that came out beautifully, despite the challenges. Okay, so that is Mythomorphia. The next challenging page is in the Coloring Heaven Annual 2018, and it is this cat page. The artwork is by Francien van Westerling, who's a Dutch artist. The reason I found this page a challenge was, first of all, it was the first time that I was coloring fur on a realistic animal. So up until this point, I had colored fur, but on fantasy creatures or animals that were more cutesy rather than realistic. And so this was my very first realistic animal with fur, and I wasn't sure how to approach it. I wasn't sure what color palette to choose. I wasn't sure where to put the fur strokes. I ended up looking at a lot of inspiration images on Pinterest of different kinds of cats and where their fur should go. And even now I can see that it's a little bit too uniform in some places to be a realistic cat. So not bad for my first attempt, but a real challenge. Also, the paper in this book is quite smooth, and I was using polychromos pencils, so blending was also a little bit of a struggle on this paper. If I had to do it again, I would have used a water medium as a base and then the pencils on top, but it was early on in my career for coloring, and I didn't know that technique yet. One thing I do love about this page is the flowers. I tried out a new combination for peach, and I really like how they came out. I like my shading, and one of the things that I think it is important to do is to find something that you like about every page that you color, so that you keep going and you keep learning, but you find one thing that you really like about your page that makes you, that gives you a sense of satisfaction with the page. So for me, it was the flowers on this page. So overall, I'm happy with the page, but it was definitely not easy doing fur for the first time. Yeah, so that's the Coloring Heaven Annual. The next page that I struggled with is in Johanna Basford's Enchanted Forest, and it is this Owl in Camouflage page. So as you can see, it is leaves galore. And if you've been watching the channel, you know that I'm not such a big fan of coloring leaves. I struggle to think of color palettes. I struggle to think of combinations and shading. I didn't want it to overshadow this cute little owl. I'd also seen quite a few colored versions on Pinterest, and I wanted mine to be slightly different. So I went in a completely different direction from anything that I saw, except for the circle. I did see the circle on Pinterest, and I struggled with trying to get the fade out effect, and I can see now that I still didn't manage that. More recent pages where I have tried to do the same thing are more successful, but this was my first time trying that, and so it was a challenge. All that said, I really, really adore this page. I think it came out beautifully. I love my owl. I love my leaves. And I really shouldn't be so hard on myself when it comes to leaves. I know that it is a struggle for me whenever I see them, and I'm put off by pages with a lot of leaves, but I actually think I should color more of them to try and get over that impediment that I have. Right, so anyway, that was a fun but challenging page, also because of all of the tiny elements as well, which Johanna is famous for. So that's Enchanted Forest. Next up, we have a page in Dreamtime Special with designs by Hannah Carlson, and there are actually two pages in this book that I found challenging, and the first one is this Queen of the Dawn page. This was the first time that I decided that I wanted to change an element on the page. And as you can see, let me zoom in a bit. She had a nose ring in the original image that I used acrylic marker to erase. And then I had to make sure that I was able to blend the pencils over the acrylic marker. So that was a challenge. And if you look at it from far away, it's actually okay. The close-up view isn't as good. So that's something that I've actually improved throughout my journey. Another thing that was a struggle was the small details in the crown, trying to get the correct pencil combination for silver, and of course also lots of elements on the page itself, the different leaves, in the background, the fact that these leaves are growing out of her shoulders, which is kind of strange in terms of the composition. So that was another element that I struggled with. Sometimes I get something stuck in my head and then I can't seem to get past it. So that is also a challenge, not allowing an element on the page to so overwhelm me that I'm not able to think of anything else. One of the ways to overcome that is to focus on the different elements on the page as single elements rather than on the image as a whole. So I've also tried to be able to do that. This page is also in Magical Dawn, And I just recently purchased a copy of that book, and I'm going to redo this page in a completely different way. And then I want to be able to compare a page that I can do now and a page from earlier on in my journey, and see where I've improved. Also, perhaps things that I would do the same, areas where I would change. And yeah, it'll be an interesting thing to do and to see. So that's the first page in Dreamtime Special. I'll show the second page in a few minutes. Okay, the next page is in the Timeless Beauty Special, also by Coloring Heaven. It seems that quite a few of my challenging pages were in this magazine, and that's perhaps because I colored a lot of pages in these books when I was first starting out. The page that I found challenging is this one. And the main reason that this page was a struggle for me was the composition of the page. As I was saying for the previous book, sometimes I get an issue stuck in my brain and I can't get past it. And this is what happened with this page. The composition of the page kind of creeps me out. You have this tree that is sort of growing out of her neck, and on the other hand you have her face tilted to the side, and I'm sorry, but this sort of looks like she's hanging from this tree and her neck is broken, and I find it very disturbing, and it completely overwhelmed me while I was coloring this page, and that was really hard for me to get past. But I was coloring it for a challenge, and so I really needed to put it aside and to get through it. So yeah, I managed to do that. Another thing that I struggled with on this page was the background. It is my first attempt at blending more than 2 Neocolor 2 crayons. So it's got 2 different purples and then this teal color, and yeah, I was attempting to blend. I'm much better at blending now. This was when I first started out using Neocolor 2s, and so the blending is not as smooth. Another thing that I struggled with then, and that I still do to a certain extent, is getting stars to sparkle. I'm never sure exactly how to draw the star. Should the lines be equal? Should they not be equal? Where should I put the dots? What medium should I use for the star? So I think this was actually silver paint, not white acrylic pen. And now I know not to do that, to use white acrylic pen. As I was saying before, there should always be something about a page that you do like. And for me, it's her hair. I really like how I got her hair and how you can sort of see individual strands. And another element on the page is that I like is the color combination I used for her top. So the teal ribbons and scarf and the yellow top. I really enjoy how that came out. So putting aside the really weird tree and neck issue, I like the page overall. So that's that one. Okay, next is a page in Romantic Country by Erie. This is one of my favorite books because it's the book that I've colored the most number of pages in, and on the whole I really love the pages, including the one I'm going to show you. So it's actually the last page in the book, and hold on, and it is this Krustallos Castle page. So here I started coloring this page, and originally the roofs of all of the castle parapets and towers and whatnot were teal. And then I decided that I wanted to have a sunset sky. So I started doing the sunset sky, and as I was doing it, I realized that the teal roofs were clashing with my sunset sky, and it didn't look really good. I didn't like the result that I was getting, so I decided that I was going to erase all of the teal roofs, and that's what I did. And after erasing all of that, there was still a bit of a tealy residue of pencils on these roofs, and so I decided I would try a technique using ink tints to go over it. So I went over all of the roofs with red and brown ink tints, and then I shaded again with pencils. And I think one of the reasons it looks a little bit faded is because there are so many layers of pencil and then erasing and then ink tints and then more pencil on top that I'm not sure that it has allowed the pencil to really stick to the page. As I said, I decided to do the sunset sky, which was also a challenge because it was the first time I decided to put an actual bright ball of sun in the background. And then I also had this cloudy sky, and I took a risk and used gray to get it to be a little bit more realistic looking. And overall, I'm really happy with my sky and with my bushes, even though I think I can color bushes a little bit better these days. But I'm proud of this page because it is a page that I managed to fix. So there was an element on the page that I didn't like, and I managed to fix it. So I'm pleased and satisfied with the page because it showed me that anything can be fixed. We learn from our challenging pages. So it's back to Mythomorphia for the next challenging page, which is this Gnomes page, another double page spread. Right, so this page was interesting. First of all, I started with the sky. I wanted the bright blue sky. And by the time I was finished coloring the sky, only using Prismacolor pencils, I was completely exhausted. I was so exhausted that I just did not have the motivation to color the rest of the page. So I put it aside, and it was actually a forever whip for about a year and a half. And then one day I was going through my books and looking at all my unfinished whips, and I decided I would get back to it. And then I looked at it and I saw all of the tiny, tiny details, the grass, the mushrooms, the animals, the objects. And it was all a bit overwhelming. And so I just decided that I would base everything with watercolor paints first to see what I could do with it. So that's what I did. And the process of basing with the watercolor paint really helped me distinguish between the elements on the page, decide on a color palette. And so I managed to keep going, but it still took me a long time, and I was really tired. Even after having it be a whip for a year and a half, the bottom part of the page was also tiring. Doing these mushrooms was really tiring as well. But I kept chipping away at it a little at a time, and I colored things in between, and I finally managed to finish it. And the end result is actually quite delightful. So I'm pleased with this overall. It is mainly Prismacolor pencils and basing with watercolor, but not the sky. The sky is only Prismacolor pencils, and I will never be doing that again. I will never do only Prismacolors for such a large background. It's really, really difficult to do that. So I learned my lesson with that one. Yeah, so that is my second challenging page in Mythomorphia. And back to Dreamtime Special for the next most challenging page, which is this fox page. So this page was actually going so well. It was all going very smoothly. I was following a tutorial by Coloring with Olivia on her Patreon, and I really loved the way my fox fur was coming out, the white and the ears and the different colors of the flowers, even with the small details. And I was ecstatic with the page. And then came the background. So Olivia on her channel has this background where she drew in oak leaves and acorns and other kinds of leaves and then colored them in. And I thought, okay, I will give it a try. And that turned into a disaster of epic proportions because I cannot draw that well. So I've been practicing drawing since then, but back then my drawing skills were just abominable, and my leaves were crooked, my acorns didn't look like acorns, and I was really unhappy with the way it looked. So I put it aside for a while and I thought about it. I colored something else, and then I came back to it, and I decided what I would do was I would try to fix it. So I put a layer of gesso on everything that I had drawn and attempted to color. And I had to be really careful because I didn't want to go over the fox fur with gesso. And then I put Neocolor 2s on top of the gesso. And when Neocolor 2 goes down on top of gesso, it creates this interesting effect, the streakiness and the less than perfect blends, but I did blend with my finger, so that really helped with that. And I kind of like it because it kind of looks like the fox is lying on a pile of glowing embers in a way. So I like the effect that I got, but it was a challenge to do all of that. And in fact, if I turn over the page, you can see my original attempt at all of those leaves that Olivia did so beautifully on her page, but that were just a disaster for me. But overall, the effect is great, and I love the page, and I particularly love my fox. Again, this is a page that is also in Daydreams, so I will be coloring it again. Only in that book, I have decided to have all of the backgrounds for the pages be shades of blue, so the background is going to be blue of some kind rather than this glowing orange red color. Right, so that is that challenging page in Dreamtime Special. Okay, so the next challenging page is from Johanna Basford's Magical Jungle, and this is a page that I actually colored recently, and it is also a Color With Me series up on the channel where I colored this page full of different leaves. And as I said before, leaves and I are not always on the best of terms. Anyway, so I struggled with this page for several reasons. First of all, it was my second time doing a Color With Me series on the channel, and I wanted to do a good job for everyone who was coloring along with me and watching the channel. And so I wanted to pick a color palette that people would find appealing. I wanted to use techniques that people would find helpful. I also wanted to make sure that the leaves didn't overshadow each other. I wanted to make it unique to myself. And so there was a lot going on when I decided to color this page. But I actually think it turned out magnificently, even if I say so myself. So I used Inktense, and then I used polychromos pencils on top, and then I created the water droplets. I added in this little beetle, and I'm really pleased with the effect, even though it took a lot of concentration, a lot of time. I filmed it over several weeks. Then there was all the editing to do for it. But I am really pleased with the end result and satisfied with it. And I hope that the people who have followed along enjoyed it as well. So yeah, a challenge, but very satisfying. Okay, so that's the leaves in Magical Jungle. Last but not least, we have a page from Mythographic Dragonspell, which is also a recent page because this is a recent book. And the page that I found challenging is this one. So the reason I found this page challenging is because it is deceptively simple. It looks so easy on the surface. You have your flowers, your leaves, your cat, and your mouse. And it looks, really easy to do. But once I started coloring it, I started to find issues that didn't sit well with me. So for example, the composition. This cat's head is huge. It takes up the whole bottom portion of the page. And when coloring it, it is a lot of effort. It's a lot of effort to do the shading for the different fur scales. It's figuring out what to do with these symbols on the forehead and trying to make it cohesive with the cat face. Then this cat has these spines growing out of its back, and it's only later that I realized it's wings. And at first, my head couldn't really wrap itself around that. And as I said with some of my earlier pages, when that happens, my head gets stuck and I don't know what to do. So I resolved that by going onto Pinterest and looking up images of dragon cats and finding out what I could do with that. So I managed to resolve that. So I'd colored everything except for the mouse. And then I needed to come up with a color palette for this mouse and his armor that suited the rest of the page. I didn't want it to be silver because I didn't feel that silver would go with this. I didn't want it to be bronze because then it would be too much like the cat. So I ended up going with gold. And actually, I'm quite happy with my gold armor and my warrior mouse, who looks so determined to rescue this cat from the yarn that is entangling it. But it was challenging while I was coloring it. And nevertheless, I really love this book and I'm enjoying coloring in it along with my buddies in the Instagram Mythographic Dragon Spell coloring group. Thanks so much for joining me as I've gone through the pages that I found challenging. I have shown you 10 pages in this video. Nevertheless, there are other pages that I've colored that I found challenging, but the ones that I showed are the ones that I found the most challenging, but are also the ones that I feel contributed the most to my learning process and my coloring journey. I learned so much from dealing with these pages, whether it was the color palettes, the awkward compositions, the mediums that I used, learning how to color something for the first time. All of those contributed to making me a better colorist. And I just want to reinforce that challenging pages are not something to be avoided. They are something that are part of our becoming better colorists. We learn so much from them. They also give us such a tremendous sense of achievement and accomplishment and satisfaction. And I do not think that I would be the colorist that I am today if I hadn't had to struggle with these pages. So again, I just want to say that it's always a good idea, even with the page that you're struggling with, to try to find something about the page that you love, because otherwise it can be a little bit demotivating and disappointing. But even if you find a flower that you liked, or a creature that you liked, or I don't know, a portrait aspect, the eyes or the nose that you enjoyed coloring on the page, I find that that's enough. So thanks again, and I hope to see you soon for more coloring pages, more coloring tips, and more coloring fun. So see you soon.